Hey guys, how are you? It is just gorgeous, blue sky, springiness, wonderfulness here in Colorado. Finally, we have long winters here in terms of just like we can still have snow. We could still easily have snow for another month. You never know. And it can start in September. I mean, there's kind of 9 months out of the year where we could have snow. It's kind of crazy, but we can also have warm too. I'm grateful for the warm. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Some of you guys may have been on it. Dane here, who is one of the co-creators of Access Consciousness, went live on his Instagram today, and it was so cool. I was just writing in one of our threads that we have, that it changed my world so much, because he was just being with people, just being super present with people. And it wasn't like a big, I mean, there was some really amazing stuff that he said, but it was just this really, more than anything, this space. I know, isn't that view amazing? This is my backyard. That's my mountain right there. And it was just so cool. It just reminded me about this whole thing about being you changing the world, if you, Monique, I love it. Chocolate lava cake. But how much we actually change and create different possibilities when we just be ourselves, and allow that to be enough, really allow that to be enough. And I've been noticing a lot. I don't do a lot of posting about coronavirus, because when I've seen, when I do, or when other people do, it turns instantly into a fight. And I'm not interested in that at all. And I posted a video last night, and it's, I said, like, please, if you use this post as an opportunity to debate, that's not what I'm asking for here, and I'll delete you, which I did delete some people. But it's, there's so much right and wrong jockeying in the world right now, and vying for, the position of rightness and the wrongness of me, and the wrongness of me, the rightness of me, whatever it may be. But everybody looking at this whole corona situation and going, well, this is what's right and this is what the science says. But science can be twisted in all kinds of different ways, and this is what this person says, and they're an expert, but no, this person, blah 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 blah, all this stuff. And the thing about that is that it's never going to go anywhere. When you go to the right and the wrong of something, there will be people on all sides of the argument, and there will be people on all sides of the equation, and there will be all kinds of data and whatever to back them up, And this is why, like, debates never interest me. They actually bore me to death, because debates are usually just people trying to prove the rightness of their point of view to other people who have no interest in having a different point of view. It's all about the point of view. And as we know, those of us who play with Access Consciousness, it's like one of the 10 keys to total freedom is interesting point of view. I have this point of view, and actually recognizing that no point of view is ever going to give you freedom the way that, well, it's funny how I said that. There is not a point of view that is ever going to give you more freedom than having no point of view, or being interesting point of view. There's no position that you can take that's going to give you more freedom than not taking a position. There's no, side you can stand upon that's going to give you more freedom than not having a side. And the thing about what's going on right now is like there's this like surge, and I think part of it for me is also I'm just a lot more aware than I was even a week ago. But there's this surge right now of people really trying to get to the bottom of this right and wrong about Corona thing. What's the right decision? What's the wrong decision? What's the right thing to do? What's the wrong thing to do? And even like the whole mask thing, like people who wear masks thinking that they're right, people who don't wear masks thinking that the people who are wearing masks are wrong. You can be wrong or right if you wear a mask or you don't wear a mask, And if you've never read the I'm going to post this at some point. If you've never read the book, The Star-Bellied Sneetches, Dr. Seuss book, check it out. You can YouTube it, and it's on YouTube. Because it's about these sweet little yellow characters that have stars on their bellies and some don't, and then they want stars and then they don't, and stars are right and then stars are wrong, and blah blah. And there's no end. There's nowhere to go with it, Because the thing about right and wrong is it's a fabricated reality that doesn't exist. Like there can't be. The only thing wrong is the yellow jacket going into my house now. No yellow jackets in my house. But it's a losing game. It's a losing, conversation and sort of battle. And so, and it's one of the biggest choices that we can make, as people who are looking, for consciousness or looking for a different world or whatever it is that you're asking for. One of the biggest, bravest, most dynamic, liberating, and expansive choices that you can make is actually to go beyond right and wrong. And a lot of people can't even conceptualize what that is or how you would even function. It's like if you don't have a sense of what's right or a sense of what's wrong, then where do you make your choices from? And I would say, well, you make your choices from awareness. If you don't have a sense of right or wrong, then you have to jump tracks to a completely different way of functioning in a completely different universe where you begin to choose based on what you know. And the thing about that is that what I know is going to be different than what you know. What's true for me is going to be different than what's true for you. What's true for me in this 10 seconds is I'm not a mask wearer. I don't even own a mask. I don't have any. I've never put anything on my face like that in this time. It's not relevant to me. I know I'm not infecting people. I know I'm not going to get coronavirus, and I'm not worried about it. I'm not scared about it. I have a reality with the whole thing, and I have, and this is not just about the coronavirus, but I have a reality that is true for me that's not fixed either. How the hell do you do that, Hey, Katerina. But that is moving and changing and morphing and melting, and that I am willing to be present with, and I'm willing to be present with other people and be aware of, where they're at and what they require, and choose accordingly, but it's not, boy, I am not right. And I probably think I'm more wrong than I do right. But, letting go of right and wrong is, it's a tall order. It's a really fucking courageous choice, because this whole reality has been set up based on right and wrong. And you have to buy somebody's version of right or wrong. You can't have your own, and even if you do have your own, it's still right or wrong. You have to buy somebody's version of what's right in order to be right, and somebody's version of what's wrong in order to not be wrong. And that's a sticky dead-end street, because who gets to decide, and you can see, if you've ever seen a political debate, you know that there's ultimately nobody that gets to decide. Because, hey, Mark, hey, everybody, thank you so much for all of you for being here. Ultimately, nobody gets to decide, because who gets to decide. Nobody is going to agree even on who gets to decide. So the whole thing is this sort of losing battle. It's this losing, ground of that's just a fight, basically, where we have to take sides and we have to take a position. And it's sort of mind-blowing to conceptualize, how do you function in today's world, without this? Well, you function from a different space. You function from what you know, from awareness, and that really requires a lot of balls. Let me just say, it requires an incredible amount of courage, because you will be attacked if you are functioning from awareness and you're willing to have that really different reality. You'll be attacked in some way by somebody who doesn't want you to be that out of control. When you function from awareness and you're willing to make choices from awareness, you're no longer controllable by the judgments of others. And this is one of the things that is really, this whole reality has been constructed upon, is that we be controllable by the judgments of others, and that we be controllable by what is right and what is wrong. And so that if you just do what's right, and we can convince you what's right, then you'll do what's right, and then you'll be controllable, or if we can convince you what's wrong, then you won't do what's wrong, and then you'll be controllable, And but guess what, guys? That's not going to get us anywhere. It hasn't. We've given it a really good, thorough run, and I feel like with everything that's going on right now, it's getting louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And one of the things I started saying when I started this is, I was watching this video from Dane here today on Instagram, and it was just such this beautiful reminder of, gosh, when we just when we really just be ourselves, and be with each other, and be a space of no judgment, a space of interesting point of view, a space that's beyond right and wrong, you can there's a lot of space for a lot of people to have a different perspective and to have a different point of view. And what if truly, if you believe wholeheartedly that, wearing a mask is what everybody needs to do, would you be willing to allow others to have a different reality where that's not actually true for them, and for that to be okay? I mean, this is a big conversation, and it goes way beyond mask wearing or not. This is just one of these places where this is showing up, because again, nobody really ultimately gets to decide for 8 billion people, and so it's up to you to actually know what you know. And one of the tools that we have in Access Consciousness is this tool that we call light and heavy. And it's a tool that can be very misused, but it's a really powerful tool, because how it works is that what's true for you is going to make you feel lighter. So if you have a sense of like something is reading for you, something is resonating, or whatever you want to call it, it's there's something that feels true for you, you're going to have a sense of lightness in your world. You're going to have a sense of expansion and kind of opening up, and having this sense of oh yeah, it will expand your world. And what's a lie for you will make you feel heavier. So you'll have a sense of density, contraction, kind of solidity, basically, for things that are not true for you. And the interesting thing is that we've been so trained to go into the heaviness. We've been so trained to actually, when something is heavy and it's dense and it's solid, we actually believe it to be more real and true than things that are very, very light and very expansive. But this is not... This is not actually how it works. As an infinite being, there's a lot of things that that are beyond this lifetime, beyond this reality, all that. And there's things that that nobody else knows. And there's things that I know that nobody else knows. And that's true for all of us. And these are this is the awareness and the sort of information that's been sort of beaten out of us with this whole conversation of right and wrong, because you try to get it right, you try to not get it wrong, but awareness is neither right nor wrong, it just is awareness. And so how do you get a sense of what actually is true for you? Well, it's by going, wow, that actually makes me feel lighter. It makes me feel sort of happier. It makes me feel more expansive. It makes me feel, like I can breathe a little bit easier, or I can relax a little bit more, or it gives me a sense of of joy in my world, or of hope, or something like that. But we don't value that. We value the solidity and the heaviness, and it's almost like there's this, when things are solid and heavy, there's this huge neon sign on them that's what attracts us, as we go toward the heaviness to try to handle it. But you can't handle heaviness. You can recognize that something that's heavy is not true for you. You can't talk somebody out of it. You can't, and this is the whole debate and right and wrong thing. It's you can't, someone who's not asking to have a different point of view and a different perspective is never going to listen to what you might have to say that's different from them. And this is the fundamental problem with debates and the whole thing that's going on with Corona right now, is nobody's actually interested in having a different point of view. And so if somebody is not asking, and this is just side note, one way to make your life 1,000,000 times easier, if somebody's not asking to have a different point of view, if they're not actually asking you, hey, can you help me with this? Or can you show me a different possibility here? Don't waste your breath. Because you actually kind of make yourself a superior asshole by trying to change somebody's point of view when they're not asking to change it. And it's not going to create more for you or for them. So what if instead you were to jump tracks to a completely different world, a completely different way of functioning that is about being, that is about the lightness of you and acknowledging the gift that you be in the world, being willing to be so different that you don't actually do judgment, even when people are, taking a point of view that is different from yours, and that you're not. And this is I've really had to kind of call myself on this and catch myself and choose every single day, because I do want to go into judgment of the stuff that I, in my world, find to be insane about this whole Corona thing. I want to judge it, because we've been raised to believe that judgment is what creates change, but judgment does not create change. What can create change is the melt that I titled this video, is the melt of our being, and getting into no point of view about things and functioning from awareness and being a different space, because that actually literally changes the molecules around you. It changes the energy, and you never know what's going to show up. But you also don't judge what shows up as right or wrong. What if Corona and all the stuff going on right now, what if it wasn't wrong? Maybe it's the world changing in a way that a lot of us have been asking for. But when whatever you judge, you cannot receive from. So what if we could all, and I'll ask this for myself and invite you, if this is light for you, what if we shifted the focus from trying to figure out what's going on, figure out what the best thing to do is going to be, and actually get into the space of, what's light for me? What actually is true for me as an infinite being? Because when you tap into what's true for you as an infinite being, it's not just about you. It's actually about what we would call the kingdom of we. When you have a sense of true lightness with something, it's actually going to create greater, not only in your life, but in the world. And that's not something that can be computed or figured out at this point. We've tried, we are trying, it's not going anywhere. So it's sort of what if it's time to become these energetic sort of, warriors or whatever, not warriors, I don't even like that word, but energetic beings, the energetic beings that we actually are, that create a change simply from being, and being willing to not have judgment, and to be the ones who choose to not judge no matter what it is, and really have a tenacity with that with yourself. And one of the greatest tools is interesting point of view. I have this point of view. It's one of the 10 keys to total freedom in Access Consciousness. It's in the foundation class. And there's a lot of those going on right now. I've got one coming up in May 10th online, which is really exciting. So you can dive into it if you would like more. But it's these 10 keys to total freedom. And there's a book also called The 10 Keys to Total Freedom. And it actually is, they really are 10 tools that I would not want to live without. Like, truly, they change everything. They allow me to create everything that I would like to have as my life and change the world. And because the thing about changing the world and creating a greater world and a greater reality is that so much of it is it's energetic. And we don't you can't see or define or put a finger on or label or talk about what's changing when it's changing energetically, because so much of what happens, so much of change, when you use the tools that I'm talking about, is first energetic. And so this happens a lot, like with people in their businesses, where they'll create all this change energetically, and it doesn't look like anything has changed because their money isn't changed or their business doesn't seem any different. And we could say that about the world too. Like there are moments where I'm like, wow, God, it's not changing fast enough. This is still so crazy. But what happens is you negate this whole universe of the energetic change that is occurring, and that is actually occurring from what we are all choosing to be. And when you choose kindness, when you choose interesting point of view, when you choose to get out of judgment of whatever it is, even if it's somebody or something where you're like, well, that deserves to be judged. I've totally done this through this Corona thing, where I'm like, no, that is fucked, But the thing is that every time we go to the judgment and not the acknowledgement of the energy of what is actually occurring, which requires you, guess what, to know what you know and to know that you know. Because this is a very undefined and undefinable reality that we're talking about right now. So to be able to acknowledge, the book that I mentioned, Barbara, is The 10 Keys to Total Freedom, by Gary Douglas and Dane Here. But I'm hoping it's not too windy to hear me. But the energetic change that creates a different future for sure in the beginning, and then as it as we continue to nurture that change by showing up more and using the tools more and just having more space and ease and all of that, it's like we're creating this sort of like the rumbling. It's like the volcano that is going to erupt, but we don't know it. We don't know that it's going to erupt until, yes, you can measure and blah, 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 but we don't really know it's going to erupt until it just does, but there's all this sort of like preparation and bubbling and, or the tsunami that, where the water goes totally out and then it comes in, and it looks, now people have that information so they know, but it looks like there's no water there. But oh boy, there's going to be a lot of water there pretty soon. Thank you, Alex, for posting the link. So much of what changes and so much of what occurs is at such an energetic level that when we don't acknowledge it, it's one of my favorite Dane Here quotes, what you don't acknowledge doesn't exist. And when we don't acknowledge what we're being, the difference that we're being, the kindness that we're being, the change that we're being in the world, we diminish the change that we have already created and that we are already creating. And this you can apply across the board in your business. You can apply it with your body. You can apply it with relationships. You can apply it with any area of life. What you don't acknowledge doesn't exist, and so much of the change that goes on is so energetic, not tangible, and not definable, not measurable in the beginning. And then it gathers momentum, and it gathers speed and strength, and it becomes more substantial, and it becomes more actualized in the world, and then we can go, oh, look there, look there, look there, look there. But this is also where when you judge anything, you can't receive it. Because we could look at this, I look at this corona thing and I'm like, wow, this is the change that we've been asking for, showing up in a way that is very not what we thought it would, how we thought it would so far, But if I judge it as, oh my God, this is wrong, it's fucked up, it's terrible, it's horrible, then there's nothing that I can receive from it. There's nothing that I can receive from it. What you judge, you cannot receive from. So if you judge your body, you can't receive from your body. If you judge your business, you can't receive from your business. If you judge your money flows, you can't receive. You can't receive, you can't receive, you can't receive. So who do you end up screwing, not in a good way, with the judgment that you do and the points of view that you have? Well, you, the world, the earth, your body, your business, your money flows. It eliminates all of this possibility. And so what if we could jump tracks, truly jump tracks to getting out of vying for the rightness or the wrongness, getting out of the need and the necessity to come to some agreement on what's going on in the world right now. We're not going to come to an agreement on that. I can guarantee you that. So anywhere that you're trying to, do that with anybody, or get somebody to see your point of view or whatever, you may want to just let it go, because it's not going to happen. People don't change their point of view until they choose to change their point of view. There is nothing that you can say to somebody to get them to change their point of view if they're not asking to change their point of view. And the only reason, for most people, the only reason why they change their point of view is when something in their life is just really not working for them. But you can't get somebody there, and you can't convince somebody. So what if we let that go? Truly. And maybe I'm just living in a la la land, but I'm going to keep going with it, because to me, this is one of the things I'd like to see in the world as much as possible is, what if we really let it go? What if we really let go of that sense of, this is right, this is wrong, and we really got into this space of, you know what, there isn't a right, there isn't a wrong. I'm not right, I'm not wrong, they're not right, they're not wrong. Holy crap, what do we do now? Well, we ask questions. We know what we know. We know that we know. We melt people, we melt spaces, we melt the world. We melt this reality, and we melt possibility, we melt, solidity into possibilities from being. And if you are like, what the hell is that? What the hell is being? Read Being You Changing the World by Dane Heer. Take a foundation class, take a Being You class. There's lots of those happening online. It's because it's a completely different universe, but it starts with not having a point of view. It starts with being vulnerable with you. It starts with allowance. It starts with being willing to let go of stuff that you're like, who the fuck would I be if I let go of this point of view? Like I was walking through the grocery store today, and Whole Foods in Boulder has like the arrows and the, you have to go this way, that way, this way. And there's chains across the aisles. It's pretty hardcore. And I had been there before, and I was really irritated and doing a lot of judgment of what had been created. And I went back and I was like, okay, I know that this is the scene that I will be walking into, so if I'm going to Whole Foods, I need to recognize that I'm going to have to deal with arrows and chains, and I'm not going to be able to move around the store the way that I do, like chaos, like the Tasmanian devil. And it's not going to be, like my favorite, moment. Okay, cool. So, I went in, okay, I'm going to have to follow some arrows here, but I started to get irritated by it. And I started to be like, fuck, why do I have to walk all the way around the whole fucking store to get to the kombucha that's right over there? And I could just go, but no, there's, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I just stopped and I was like, who would I be if I didn't have that point of view? Like, who would I be? How could I define myself if I didn't have a point of view about being irritated at the, what I consider to be kind of insanity and overreaction of this whole thing. You know, like, who would I be if I didn't have that point of view? Oh shit, man. I wouldn't get to prove that I was anything. I wouldn't get to prove that I was on any side or in any camp. I would probably be stupid, you know, because a lot of us choose our points of view to prove that we're smart. It was like really a whole, and I look at this a lot, and sometimes I choose it and sometimes I don't. And I'm asking myself to choose it a lot more. But it's like, truly, am I willing to not be anybody? Am I willing to not be defined in any particular way by not actually having a point of view, you know, and be really, really willing to know what I know and to know that I know and to choose what I choose based on what I know, truly based on what I know. Am I willing? Am I willing for that to be how I function in the world? Am I willing to be so different that I'm not defending any particular side here, or, you know, defending myself or wanting to make any side wrong, and still knowing what I know? It's like knowing what I know about coronavirus and this whole thing without judgment, without making it wrong or right, but just knowing what I know. And knowing that, you know, other people can choose what they're going to choose. And that doesn't make them wrong, and it doesn't make me right. And it doesn't make me wrong, and it doesn't make them right. What would it be like, you guys, if we could have that reality? And that may be a tall order, and I don't care. You know, I am here. I love this planet. I love this planet. I don't actually care nearly as much about the people as I do about the earth. Because so far, we've created a lot of crap for the earth. And this is one of the most magical and unique planets. I don't know any other planet that has the capacity that the earth has, and the beauty and the, you know, like, specialness that the earth has. And to me, that's my priority, you know, and it's not right to say that I don't really care as much about people as I do about the earth. Like, that's not right to say that. That makes me whatever, unkind, anti-conscious, whatever the hell you want to say. Okay, fine. That's fine. I don't need to be right. I don't need to not be wrong. What I know is that I love this planet, and judgment is killing us. It's killing the planet. And this is what I know. And if it's heavy for you, then don't listen. And if it's light for you, then, you know, whatever. Don't make it significant. But I'd like to see something really different here. And I don't pretend to know what is going to create that. None of us can really know. But what we can do is choose to be the greatest that we be. And to me, for me, that includes really going beyond this whole right and wrong thing, and really functioning from interesting point of view, and being something different in the world that melts it, that melts the insanity, and that melts everything that does not contribute to the thriving and sustainability of the earth. So what do you know about that, my friends? What do you know about that? And what could you choose? What could you choose? What would you be willing to be that's really different? Would you be willing to be so different that people can't define you, they can't predict you, they don't know what your next move is going to be, and if they judge you, it doesn't matter? I mean, that's quite uncontrollable. And when you become uncontrollable by other people's judgments, then they get even more upset. Are you willing to have no point of view about how people respond to you? And are you willing to choose what's going to work for you, what's true for you, beyond the impossibility of right and wrong? So that is my invitation to you. And Anne Maxwell, who does Access Consciousness, she has an amazing clearing loop. It's called the right and wrong clearing loop, or the rightness clearing loop, or something. And I play that a lot. The clearings that we have in Access are really amazing. They get to a lot of unconscious stuff. So anyway, that's available. I don't even know what her website is, but if you can Google Anne, ANNE Maxwell. Maybe it's annemaxwell.com. I don't know. But that thing has been amazing for changing this for me. And I just play it while I sleep on low, and it changes stuff. So there's so many resources. Like I said, books, and there's the foundation classes that are happening all over. I am doing one May 10th through the 16th. We're going to translate it into a bunch of languages. It'll be online, 3 hours a day for a week. Business Done Different class, where we really look at this with business and money and creation and being. That's happening this weekend, May 1 through 4. Just so many cool ways to play with this stuff, and cool books. Oh, thank you. Albina posted the link down below for, I'm guessing, for the clearing loop. Thanks, Albina. And yeah, truly what is possible, guys, really what is possible, what do you know about what is possible that you've not allowed yourself to know because it doesn't fit into this reality, and it doesn't fit into right and wrong. And Shannon's posting the serenity prayer. Yeah, and so there's links and all that kind of stuff going down there. But truly, guys, would you be willing to have the courage to not have right or wrong as your guiding principles in your life? It's weird, it's uncomfortable, it's really different. It takes a lot of fucking courage, and a lot of presence, and a lot of tenacity with yourself to be like, you know what, I really fucking want to judge right now, but I'm really not going to, and this interesting point of view I have, this point of view is a fucking lifesaver, and it will change your life, and it will change the world, and it will change the planet. And God only knows, maybe it'll change Corona. Because that's actually how we melt things, is by being. And any judgment that you have interferes with your capacity to be. And your being is enough, your being is brilliant, and your being is what will change the world. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And take care, guys. Please know what you know, and know that you know, and have way more fun than you're supposed to. Bye.